Hello everybody and welcome back to another video of our fighting game course. In this lecture, we're gonna learn how to add different states for our character. Now, what do I mean by state? Well, a state could be anything that your character does. For example, I want my character in this video to be able to sprint, maybe to step back, to like do some combos, some special attacks. Now, I'm gonna show you like the pattern that you need to follow to add any state for your character, and I want you to replicate it to add some different states for your characters depending on the game that you're trying to make, because you probably your game is not like exactly as mine. If it is, then good for you. If it's not, then at least you will know how to manage your states by yourself. Well, in this video I'm gonna add, so as you can see, my characters have this sprint sprite. So I want my characters to be able to sprint when they press or double tap the front key. Now, first of all, well, we need to add this sprite. So I'm gonna name it SPR sprint, and we're gonna do like the same thing. So SPR sprint, and we'll need to you know, do it for the other characters. So you'll notice that I've added another character, which is this one right here. She's called Vanessa, and this character is a little bit special because, well, I'm gonna show you like when we run the game, but basically this character doesn't use like any legs combos. It only uses like punches. So it has like 4 punches, not 2 punches and 2 kicks. So, but yeah, that doesn't matter for now. Okay, now here are the things that you need to keep in mind when adding states for your character. So we have this character control script, right? And if you notice, we already did that. So with the attack state, the main thing that you need to keep in mind is that you need a way to trigger the state, right? And you need a way to get back to the original state, which is the free state. So in this case, I want to add a state for sprinting. So I'm gonna name my state here state sprint. Now obviously we need to add this macro to our list here. So I'm gonna have another macro called macro state sprint. Okay, gonna give it the value of 2. Now I'm gonna get back to our character control. Well, first of all, when do we want to trigger this state? Well, for me in this case, I want to sprint when I double tap the front key. So I'm gonna create a shortcut script called double tap, and I'm gonna leave it empty for now. Now, I can only sprint when I'm on the ground, so I'm gonna move to this if else statement, and I'm gonna check here for sprinting. Okay, now if double tap the key that I want to like use for sprinting, then I'm gonna change the state to state sprint. Also, I want to break. Now, what's gonna happen here? What key do I want to use to sprint? Well, that depends on the direction that we are facing. So if we are facing the right, then we want to use the right key to sprint. Otherwise, we're gonna use the left. So I'm gonna create a variable here called forward key, and this case, this variable is gonna be well, basically we're gonna check if the sign of our image x scale equals 1, then in this case the forward key is going to be right, otherwise it's going to be left. You can also do the same thing for the backward key. So this should be backward, and basically this is going to be not equals 1. So yeah, but I'm only gonna need the the forward key to sprint. So I'm gonna name it here forward key. Now obviously this gonna have an argument 0. So I'm gonna, just to get rid of the error, I'm gonna say equals argument 0. we're gonna get back to this script later. So let's get back to our character control. Um, so yeah, when I double tap the forward key, I'm gonna change my state to the free state as long as I'm in the ground, or sorry, to the sprint state as long as I'm in the ground. Now, what is the condition that is gonna take us back to the free state? Well, this is the part where we get back to the free state, right? But also we need to do something in this sprint state. Well, if we are on the ground, then we need to like increase our speed. So I'm gonna say horizontal speed equals, we have this macro, if you remember it, sprint spd times sine of our image x scale. Alright. Oh my god. Okay. Scale. Okay, that's better. Now, how do we want to get back to the free state? Well, here's the thing. When I double tap the forward key and then quickly release it, I want to still be able to run, at least until the animation ends. Okay? So I'm gonna check if animation end. Okay? If we are not pressing the forward key, then we want to stop. Then we want to state equals state free and break. Okay, so as long as the animation ended and we are not pressing the right key or the forward key, we want to keep running, or sorry, to stop. Otherwise, if we are still pressing the right key, we want to keep running. Okay, also here we want to change if we don't want to switch the image x scale unless if we are on the ground and state equals state free. Okay, now the final thing that we need to do is to update our animation control. Well, it's pretty simple. So in case state sprint, we need to break. Also if landed, set sprite sp sprint. Alright, now I'm gonna run the game. Oh, sorry, of course we still have to like add the mechanic of double tapping. So how are we gonna do that? Well, we're gonna need two variables here. So in the create event, I want to add a variable called last key, which is gonna be no one at the game start. Also, we're gonna need a last key cd, which is gonna be 0. Okay, so it's gonna be 0. Now, okay, so let's get back to our double tap key script. Sorry. Now here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna check if the last key that we pressed equals k, and last key cd is less than let's say like 20. So that means like it has been like at least 20 frames that since we pressed that key. Then if we press it again, if keyboard check pressed k, then we want to like return true. Otherwise we're gonna return false here. Return false, return false. Now we still have to like set this last key to like the correct values, and it's better to actually change this double tap cd to a macro. So I'm gonna, just so like we have a better control for this, so I'm gonna add a macro here called double tap cd. Oops, this should be okay. Let's give it like a 20 frames. So at least as long as we are on 20 frames span, then we should be able to like double tap any key. Now the last thing that we need to do is to like add values to the double keys. Sorry, to the last keys. So I'm gonna say like here check last key, and in here we're basically gonna check if keyboard check pressed argument 0, then in this case we want the last key cd to be 0, then because we just pressed it, we also need to change the last key to argument 0. Okay, sorry. Now we need to get back to the player step event. Okay, in the step event, well, here gonna check for the timers. So we basically need to increase the last key CD every step of the game, and we need to check for the last key. It's gonna basically copy and paste the script for the right key, for the left key, the up and down. You can do it for the P1. Okay, actually let's do it. Yeah, why not? Okay, punch 1. This is gonna be pretty helpful if you wanna like do some combos and stuff. So it's gonna be K1 and K2. Now let's go over the steps here. So basically I have two variables, last key, which is gonna stand for the last key that we pressed, and the cooldown for it. So how long has it been since we pressed that key? Now basically this script that is saying check last key, as long as we press like any of these keys that are gonna be here, then we wanna reset the cooldown to 0 and change the last key to like the key that we pressed recently. And you'll notice that we're increasing the cooldown every step, last key CD. Now the double tap script is just gonna check, did we press the same key as now? Is it like the same key that we pressed before? Well, if it's true, then we're also gonna check for the time span. Is it less than the span that we chose, which is like 20 frames? Actually, I think it's gonna be fine. You can mess with that depending on the game. My game is running on 60 FPS, so this is like 0.3 second. Then if we press it, then we wanna return true, otherwise false. So let's go ahead and run the game. You'll notice that I've added another character. As I said, she's called Vanessa, and also I had some internet issues and I couldn't upload any videos for the last 2 weeks. During that time, I changed the menu a little bit. Basically, the first option, P1 versus AI, is working. Now I haven't added any artificial intelligence now, so don't worry about it, but at least like the option is working, and I will show you how to do it. The player is still controlled by the player 2, but yeah. So I'm just gonna wait for the game to run now, and after we're done I will show you how to complete the menu yourself. Well, it's taking so long, but so as I said, I want you to add other states for your character, because in the next video we're gonna have to add a damage system. So we're gonna have to add health bars, some damaging. Well, I do have like some sprites for like taking damage, so we're gonna use them as well. So this is like for getting knocked out. This is like receiving a hit, like middle hit. This is a high hit. Okay, and stuff like that. I also have like sprites for blockade hits, guard, and yeah. Well, I'm gonna pause the video until the game finishes compiling. I'm gonna get back. Alright, so it is the game. Now, as I said, the first option is working now. When I press this option, then I will be able to select my character and the computer's character as well. So I can choose the computer's character using like the P1 controls. So I'm gonna pick the character. Also added like some names in the bottom. Now everything still works the same. Now if I press the double If I double tap the forward key, my character is going to run. Same thing for the enemy. Now, that was like pretty simple, right? But what I want you to do is try to add different combos or states for your character. Now, the only thing that you should keep in mind is that, well, as I said, in the character control script, you need something to trigger the state that you wanna go into, okay? And when you are in that state, you need to like code the logic. So what do you want to do in that state? So for example, in this sprint state, I want to increase my movement speed, right? And also you need to find a way to get back to the free state. In my case, I want to, like, if the animation has ended and if you are not pressing the keyboard check, so if you're not pressing the forward key anymore, then we want to stop. Otherwise, we're gonna continue running. So yeah, now I want to talk about the menu. So you'll notice that I've added some macros for the game types. Now I have 4 types for now. Only the 2 first are working. I also have like an option for AI versus AI and the practice mode. Now in the menu, what did I do? Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so in the menu, well, nothing changed here except that in the global.game type, now instead of like choosing 0 as the default variable, now it is game P1 versus AI, which is like the default game type, right? In the step event, so when we choose an option, this is like the first option, right? Player 1 versus AI. Then in this case, we want to change the game type to P1 versus AI, and also change the enemy type to controller computer, right? In the second option, we want to change the game type to P1 versus P2 and the enemy type to P2 because the player 2 is going to be able to control this character, right? That's it for the step event in here. Now, in the controller, basically the only thing that you need to do is change the controller here to global.enemy type, okay? And the player2.character here is gonna be, well, if we are on the P1 versus P2 mode, then we're gonna choose the player 2 character. Otherwise, we're gonna use the AI character. And if you remember, these variables are here in the character select menu. So in the create event, we have like these variable characters. Okay, nothing changed here except that I added another character. So I added a name and icon and a portrait for it. Now, now here, so in this step event, I know it looks a little bit complicated, but just keep in mind that so this alarm 0 is basically just gonna take us to the next room, okay? So what I'm saying here, as long as we are not going to the next room, so if alarm 0 is still less than 0, okay, then that means the alarm still hasn't been triggered. Then in this case, well, this is like the keys to use to like switch characters, right? But you'll notice that the player 1 is gonna be able to pick the character for himself and the computer also. So if our character is not ready, then we want to change our character. If it is ready, however, we want to change the character for the computer. Now, how is this gonna work? So when we press J to confirm our character, if the game type is P1 versus AI, then if we haven't locked our character, well, we're gonna change this to ready. So if the game type is, player 1 versus AI, then we're gonna, confirm our character. So we're gonna lock in the P1 character, P1 index. This is like the same logic that we used. Else, we want to lock in the computer and fix its character. And this is like else, that means the game type is P1 versus P2. Then this is like the same code from the previous tutorial. The player 2 controls haven't changed except that now they are inside this if statement, and we only need to go to the next room depending on the game type. So if the game type is P1 versus P2, we need to check if P1 and P2 are ready. Then we need to go to the next row. Else, we need to check if the P1 and the computer are ready. And that's pretty much it. Now in the draw GUI event, you'll notice that so instead of using P2 index here in this arrays, I'm using this variable called second character. Now the second character is gonna change depending on the game type. So if the game type is P1 versus P2, then we're gonna use the P2.index. Else, we're gonna use the computer index. So that's pretty much what second character means. So yeah, I'm drawing like when you draw the sprite, you're gonna use the second character index. Same thing for the name. So I've added like this text in the middle of the room, like the name of the player 1, name of the player 2, and this versus text. And same thing with the icons, except that I'm drawing here a text saying computer instead of P2. And that's pretty much it. So that was all for today, guys. Hopefully you've learned something new in this video. Now, as I said, I want you to add some other states that your game's gonna have, because in the next video we're gonna have to add a health and damage system. So I want you to finish your different moves that you're gonna be using, and yeah, so I'll see you in the next one. Take care and peace.